We're streaming. Okay, I like
And
to,
we're
and we're off.
live.
We're off. And this looks very exciting because this is our first LKT Twitter sorbet. This is where Let's Kill Twitter fills in those lovely gaps between our main shows so that we can catch up on the week's tweets. There's always something there in the post bag, isn't there? So we've got our main show next week, which is very exciting. We've got comedians Lucy Porter and Sean McLaughlin. That'll be starting 8:30, be running for our usual 1 hour, 15 minutes. But tonight, the sorbet is all about Sajila Kershi and I digesting this week's tweets. We don't want to miss anything from this week, do we, Sajila?
No. And in fact, just to distinguish between the two shows, like you get Showbiz Sajila on the main show with the bling and the makeup and the stuff, and today it's just me chilling. I mean, chilling and chewing the fact because it's been quite busy already, hasn't it, with the tweets, Julian?
It has been very busy, I have to say. I mean, yes, you're right. This is the kind of sports bottomed sort of, sort of sorbet. I mean, they're all sports bottoms, really, aren't they? Actually, I do wear trousers for the main show. I do, to be fair.
See, there we go. We make an effort.
Total effort, but we're slumming it tonight, guys.
We're slumming it tonight. I was going to bring my cocoa, but I'm just going to take some.
Yeah, don't get too relaxed.
Yeah. Welcome everybody. Anyway, if you're watching this from.
Yeah, welcome streamers. Please do follow us on at LKT Zoom. Go to the website, look up next week's show on Eventbrite because you can get into the Zoom room and interact. So follow us and subscribe. Obviously, you have to say subscribe for the YouTube generation. We should kick off, really. I'll try not to deliver this as if I'm sort of narrating a kind of steeplechase. But there's a lot to pack into half an hour.
There is a lot to pack in. But I just want to say, going back to the Zoom room, I highly recommend that you come to the Zoom room and share the experience live with us in that room, in the Zoom room. We had people from America last week. Do you remember their names, Julian? Because I think they might be tuning in.
Only the something smoked lenses at smoked lenses.
And they were lovely, weren't they? They were lovely. So we've gone global basically. So guys, do tell your families abroad as well. And it's a very different experience if you come into the Zoom room. So do that. So busy week, as you said.
Yeah, what I'm gonna do, a little bit cheeky, I know, but I'm gonna take us back to last week. We had last week we had Ian Dale and Ria Lena join us. We got through a reasonable number of tweets. There were just a couple that I wanted to take us back to.
It was a great show, by the way, whilst Julian's looking for that. It was a great show. I thoroughly recommend you go and check out our YouTube to read up on there, because some really fantastic, they're good content, really good.
Absolutely, we've made some lovely clips out of them. You can watch the whole show on YouTube and watch the clips. So couple of quick tweets from last week. I know it's taking us back. It's Lady Gaga's dogs. And the one angle from the reporting of Lady Gaga's dog walker being shot and her dogs taken was, what happened to the dog walker? Why did the dog walker not get a mention in those reports? So Kemi Alamuru's from Galdem, her tweet headlines be like, Lady Gaga's dogs were stolen. Oh, and her dog water was shot. Well, you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. That was the whole coverage of that episode, that unfortunate episode. The dogs obviously now have been reunited with Lady Gaga, and I believe that the dog water was better. But I wanted to know what happened to the dog water at the time, basically.
Yeah, but I love that she's used, which I don't know how she's managed to do that, the smaller font to show less importance for the shot dog owner. I mean, that's massive headline, wow, and then the tiny little. How has she done that?
Well, I like the way that it's been sort of cut and paste as if it was almost a ransom note in lowercase. Yeah. Oh no, it's beyond my humble technical capabilities, I'm afraid.
I'm really impressed with that. So well done, Kemi Alamuru.
Nice one. Yeah, I think she totally nailed that. And then also very quickly, because this is timeless, Mr. Roger Quimbley, who is a Twitter wit of the first degree, always very entertaining.
You must get him on as a guest.
Absolutely. I was going to make a note of that.
Yeah.
His tweet, looking forward to June the 21st, when all of this is over and we can really relax and start properly enjoying Brexit.
That's
Yummy.
awesome. Oh dear.
So there you go. There's a little appetizer. That's the sorbet of the sorbet. Right, now we need to dig into what's been happening this week. So are we going to start with the obvious?
Well, no, I'm going to just add in
Okay.
because I managed to, something happened to my phone, so I couldn't catch it, but it was actually a tweet with Nigel Farage. I
Oh
think it was a
yeah.
Telegraph interview, and I really don't think, I think I managed to like it, but I couldn't manage to retweet it.
I
And him
see.
saying he's not going to be doing politics anymore, and how his, running a party is really difficult, very hard work. And basically, it's just like running through, it's just like the woman. Did you see the woman in the church, in the local council meeting, Jackie Weaver? That's what it's like. And I was like, he's comparing this to the misogyny that we witnessed in the Jackie Weaver thing. Yeah, you kind of pretty got it spot on, Nigel Farage, that is exactly what your party was about. It was about hatred, it was about anger, and very red-faced men. So yeah, I really did. Is this the one? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's him explaining to. I've muted him. So how many people would like to do
Yeah,
that?
let's mute
This,
him whenever we can.
I mean, in fairness, though, I mean, when anyone says things like, "Oh, I'm stepping away from politics now," or whatever, it's a bit like Frankie Boyle when he says, "Oh, I'm not going to tour anymore." It's like, come on, you know you want to. It's going to happen. So we shall see. We shall
Yeah, we
see.
should see. We should see. Watch this space. Yeah, and going to your. Oops, hang on. I've got an international call coming in from New Zealand. I was
It's
to delete that.
only live and on Zoom.
Only
Eh?
live on air. Thank you, Taryn Manhanabai. If you've just been, if you're watching us on Facebook, thanks for calling in the middle of my show. No, Taryn. So anyway, yeah. So yeah, what you mentioned the very obvious that you've got.
Well, I did. I mentioned the very obvious because it's got so many hashtags. Let's face it. You can have Harry, Meghan, and on Oprah, Harry, Meghan, Oprah, Oprah, Meghan, Harry, or Oprah, Harry, Meghan, whichever hashtag you prefer. Although I suppose I tend to go with the alphabetical one, which is Harry, Meghan, Oprah. Yeah, but it's the thing. It's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of tweets on this. We could start with former guest Aisha Hazarika. She's commenting on Fedora Abu's tweet, so who's obviously is commenting on another tweet. But let's get the sense of this.
And I love this because it was like a top trumping tweeting thing, and I really liked that everybody had something relevant to say. I think I did my 2 pence worth to what Aisha had said, which is about being a woman of color and how how we're treated, and it's still true now. So are you going to start right from the back of the first tweet, because it's quite a long one, isn't it?
Oh my goodness! Right. Okay. So how far do you want me to go? Should we go?
Oh,
Should we go here?
yeah, maybe a couple down, because like I said, I think we're still going to be discussing the fallout next week.
Oh no,
yeah.
no, wait a minute. Do we want to do this? This is the first one that's been quote
Okay.
tweeted.
So the Meghan stuff is traumatizing. I'm emotionally exhausted by the constant need for black resistance. My soul, mind, and body are tired. We'll keep going, but fuck, it's distressing. And they know they know what they're doing. It is purposeful and targeted. So yeah.
Come out of that to the next one.
And I've said it for years, the treatment of Meghan, the constant double standard, it is racist. Every stereotype about black women I have seen thrown at this woman. I've heard white colleagues say absolutely vile stuff. I am not going to shut up about it.
And then finally, we end up with Aisha.
Obviously got Aisha, a former guest. So this really resonates with so many women of colour. We've had it. We recognise the way Meghan has been treated. We've lived it. And it's galvanised so many of us, even those of us, shock horror, well over 40 years of age. I don't know what she's talking about, Aisha. She's only 30.
So how are you feeling about the whole? I mean, those are very great tweets setting out like one particular angle, and I'm not going to deny that the tabloid coverage of this, has been pretty lamentable in parts. But I'm not also going to say that there is an issue with Meghan that is beyond the race element, which is like, they said they wanted to go and have a quiet life. We want to have a quiet life, say glamorous couple on Oprah. There's a lot of people can't really reconcile themselves to that. So there's a lot, there are, as with everything, it's nuanced, but there are various angles at play here.
Well, I have to say that even them choosing to leave the royal family, after having watched The Crown, I must admit, I think every single person who's watched The Crown thinks, well,
disclaimer, it's fiction.
I mean, we know it's fiction, yes, but they all think that you would not want to be in that family. And actually, for me, as an Asian woman, I think it's very much like an Asian family. So, you know, if you don't like the daughter-in-law's life is made hell. If you do happen to live with your in-laws or close by, they poke into your life all the time. So any Asian person there was going to resonate the way that she's been treated. And then all you want as a daughter-in-law is to move away from this controlling family and just for you and your husband and your kids to be separate from that. So I kind of that resonates just from a woman's point of view, from an Asian woman's point of view. But on top of that, it is definitely the way that she's been treated by the press here. I can't really comment on the royal family stuff, because maybe that will come out tomorrow in the documentary. Well, like I said, we'll have the fallout where we can discuss next week. But I definitely think the press have not been, you know, there's really nastiness of slurs, of, you know, of a racial connotation. It's not just about a couple moving away, having been quiet, not being quiet. I do think there's something a little bit more darker underneath this. Pardon the pun of using that word.
Well,
but
yeah. I mean, so for example, one was Viv Groskop, who's been on the show as well recently, another former guest. If I can find her tweet, she highlighted an interview on Sky that was involved Gina Yashere, I don't know Kelly, well, actually, no, I do. And Shola Moss, who, well, Shola Moss is a Dr. Shola Moss. Yes. I can never do, and to be fair, Jeremy Vine cannot pronounce
I've only ever known her as Shola. Hello, Shola, if you're listening in.
Probably easier.
We love you, Shola.
Actually, please come on the show as well.
Yeah, we'll get Shola on the show.
I've seen you many times. This interview, which I won't play all of because it's 11 minutes long, but it is very useful in identifying just how the press have crossed the line in their reporting, because it's easy to sort of put it down to the avocados, because there was one, you know, particular example, but there is, you know, there's more to it than that. So that's a good tweet to go out and check out later. It's obviously on our timeline. If you're watching us now on the stream, by the way, guys, you can obviously tweet at us. We're at LKT Zoom. So, you know, if you've got any comments and all the rest of it, we don't expect them to be nice. It's Twitter. It would just be nice to know if you're out there. Now, the other side of this, I mean, the family analogy, I really like that. And it is really important to all of this, what you just said. But the other thing is that, for me, Hollywood star coming into the royal family, it's almost like the royal family is small time. I mean, maybe that's sort of small town. Maybe that's a treacherous thing to say, but that is a smaller family. That's a smaller royal family in the sense of, like, really, do you really want that gig? I mean, I bet a lot of us, after having watched The Crown, are thinking, yeah, okay, they're privileged, but do I really want that gig? No. Not really. No. And I don't think she wouldn't have wanted that. I mean, it was only a matter of time, you know, when they were married. It was like, yeah, this is a good look for the royal family. This is positive, but there was also a little voice sort of thinking, I wonder how long this can, you know, contain.
Well, within that family, there would have been like power struggles as well, because obviously Meghan's come in and with her own star shining. It was really rising fast at that point as well. So she'll have that Hollywood kind of glamour. Even her wedding reflected it, compared that to Catherine's and William's wedding. And within there's going to be like the power dynamics. You know, the sister, she's the older brother's sister. Wife rather. So the sister-in-law kind of would have, I can see that tension might have been created. Catherine's like, you know, I'm number one here, like, excuse me, don't forget who I am. And you know, and then and I'm also more,
I love it if they did that. I love that.
Yeah, I love that. I was here first, girl. And obviously Meghan comes in and she's the outsider. She's from America and she's probably a little bit louder than what they're used to, and she's got all that Hollywood kind of glamour and glitz and things that, you know, it's not sober. Whereas what Catherine did, I think I read it somewhere today, one of the tweets, that she knows how to play the game. And I think there's a lot to be said in that she does know how to be that, but that is all she has. With all due respect to her, that is all she has. She hasn't tried to carve out a career. She hasn't really sort of seemed from the outside. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. Is that she's happy with this role as a royal, doing the charity work, being the wife of a future king. She seems happy with that. It feels like that Meghan is being punished for being super ambitious and wanting it all. And I do remember when on their website, on the palace website, when she first married, they erased her acting work. I'm sorry, that is so.
What do you mean they erased?
Because their biog that they put down that she was an activist, and they kind of missed out Like if somebody did that, I mean, I think I had a whinge the other day when I had a gig and somebody left out my body of work and just like treated me like I was just a little MC or a little comedian, you know, and I was like, excuse me, I have a whole body of fucking work. How dare you? I can imagine Megan, who has, you know, left a big mark in the acting world with her, you know, suits and everything, and her career's taking off, and then she goes and joins his family and they're like, well, this is not relevant. We don't think this is important. And we all know that.
Well, oh no, I could probably have to keep. I'm going to fill in for Sheila while she's frozen. She's frozen on my screen, so I'm guessing she's frozen on yours. Well, I mean, just to sort of put the other side of the coin a little bit on this to some extent, Matt Kilcoyne from the Adam Smith Institute's obviously.
How hard you would have to.
You're back. We lost you.
Oh,
there.
okay. I think yeah, I'm so sorry. I think we used two things at a time with the household.
I think you may have been. Yeah, you could have been possibly censored by the palace there. I mean, let's face it. If they're not watching, if they weren't watching Netflix, then they're definitely not watching it now. But yeah, I mean, that's a bit weird that they've airbrushed the acting side out of history. I just launched into kind of the case for the prosecution. Matt Kilcoyne from the Adam Smith Institute, so coming at this from a sort of, you know, right of centre perspective. I mean, it's not exactly the meat and bread of what they do, but he cometh the hour, cometh the meme, even if it's been used so many times before. It's the with nail and I meme. We've joined the royal family by mistake, and you know, I can see where it's coming from. You kind of knew what you were in for, and obviously, you know, Harry, in telling Meghan what had happened to his mum and the conversations they must have had when they were dating, it's like it can't ever have first made it an attractive sounding gig, really. But I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, but even as a daughter-in-law myself, you always want your partner to choose you over the mother-in-law. So there was always going to be a tension. He's like, you know, one side I've got the Queen, and you know, then the other side I've got this Hollywood wife that is actually way out of my league, probably, because I'm actually worried that they're not going to last. You know, I think further down the line, what is Harry going to bring to the table? Because if her career starts taking off again, and she's, you know, got the Hollywood career, I wonder what role Harry will have in that, because he's going to have to, yeah. I do worry about that, because in any relationship, that kind of those dynamics can affect a relationship.
Well, I mean, look, you know, one of the issues of this is that has been, are you team Harry, are you team Meghan, or, you know, team Liz or whatever? So, you know, it has kind of veered off into this sort of tribal way of looking at it. And well, Sam Friedman, an education board who is an advisor to the Department for Education, amongst many hats that he's worn, always has very interesting threads about, I think he's done some really interesting stuff on COVID and so on and so forth. His tweet here: would 100% accept a Gates microchip in my brain if it was guaranteed to block out the next 30 years of Harry and Meghan discourse. See, there is another way. Obviously, I really, you know, I'm not listening kind of. I mean, we're all going to watch it though, aren't we?
Oh God, if we haven't got any absence of any more Crown episodes, this is brilliant. I love it. I love that we're getting all this gossip. I love that the interview has not happened, and look at the build up. Look at the teasers we've had. People are already making, you know, commentary about this, and I can't wait to be next week now, where I guess we'll bring it up. We'll probably bring it up as well. The fallout
for sure.
Next week, yeah, for definitely. So watch this space, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Get a quick plug in. It's Lucy Porter and Sean McLaughlin next week, March the 14th, 8:30. Booking details are on our Twitter feed, the website, etc. Right, we've got 10 minutes or so.
Okay, cool. So what else we got? Can I bring in, I don't know if you've got any tweets around it, but I woke up the other morning and Twitter's gone mad. Kate Bush is trending, and after a horrible moment, I thought she died, and I was like, no, not Kate. I love her. I love Kate Bush. And then I saw that you tweeted something as well, but it was all fine. So do you want to fill up why she was trending on Twitter?
You see, this is the problem, that as soon as a celebrity name starts trending on Twitter, we're like, oh no, what's happened? And this is because the trauma of 2016 and 2017, when so many celebrities of various sort of ages seemed to kind of just leave us, and it was always pretty distressing. It was as distressing enough times as it was with Brexit and Trump, and then there were celebrities dying as well. And you know, so I think now every time you see someone trending, you think, oh no, you know. But luckily, in this case, it was a BBC4 documentary, which I stumbled upon totally by accident, didn't know it was on. And it's like, oh God, isn't Kate Bush just like, it's the barely off this planet. She's just so good.
Oh my
Just
gosh,
incredible.
she still transcends time. You know, I remember listening to Wuthering Heights as a child and just being blown away then, and it still blows me away now. And the fact that she was only what 18 or something when she wrote that,
Oh yeah, something
and
like
then
that.
Man with a Child in His Eye.
Oh
When
yeah,
oh my God,
amazing.
how can you are not from this planet, Kate Bush. I was very, very lucky to have seen her in when she came to the concert like a couple of years back when it was and before she even started singing, she walked on the stage and every single person got up on their feet and gave her a standing ovation, was clapping, cheering, whooping. People love her.
Yeah.
She's such a big part of, if you grew up at a certain time, she's a big part of our kind of history, our own history, because it was so, I don't think I remember anyone in the same way as I do Kate Bush, or perhaps Queen, that moment at Live Aid. You know, there's certain iconic moments that you have in music, and she's definitely, and she didn't just do, it wasn't just Wuthering Heights, there was so many, everything she brought out was magic. But yeah, so thankfully she's still with us, We hope that she can do another concert so we can go and see her live again.
Yeah, I mean, it was like years, wasn't it, before in
Yeah.
between concerts. I mean, this woman's work as well, you just remember how, and I'm not just saying that because it's International Women's Day tomorrow, sisters. It is just an incredible song. I mean, it's sort of peerless, really.
It's beautiful.
But as what happened, what's that?
As you just mentioned, International Women's Day, of course, that could be next week, prediction for next week as well, talking about.
Yeah, so that's Monday. I'm sure we'll get tweets around that to discuss. And I mean, that is the other thing, of course, that, you know, when you see a celebrity name trending, not only do you fear the worst, but then everyone then piles in with like, why is so-and-so's name trending? So essentially, you've got a lot of tweets asking the same question. Anyway, there we go. It's all the fun of Twitter, isn't it, really? So where should we go in 5 minutes?
Okay, so we've got another one, musical one this morning, was it? I saw
right, okay. I suppose it kind of was a bit musical, yeah, but musical.
So you know a bit more about the story behind it, so you want to tell us?
Okay, so I mean, I didn't even so Winston Marshall, I had no idea that this guy was in Mumford and Sons. I mean, you obviously picked out the tweet, but he is congratulating the Andy No on his book about Antifa. And then the tweet that you picked out was, lead guitarist for Mumford and Sons congratulate notorious right-wing propagandist for publishing disgraceful work of disinformation. Well, okay, listen, all I know about this is that when you go to Portland in the US, it says Portland, welcome to Portland, population on fire, because for however many years now, there's been a lot going on in Portland, and a lot of it is being attributed to Antifa, and we're talking about attacks on like the State House and various other kind of incidents involving the police. And Andy No has basically collected all of these sort of incidents and put them together. He tweets them out quite a lot. In terms of actually the perpetrators, he's kind of sharing police shots and all the rest of it. And I know he's been pulled up for that by activists on the left, but I think he's still acting within the law as far as I know. So he's a controversial figure, I totally understand that, but he is reporting on things that are actually happening in a major US city. Now, because it wasn't calamity at the Capitol, it doesn't get the kind of attention that, you would have, you wouldn't get that over here. You wouldn't kind of necessarily feed back over here. But this is a weird one. I mean, I have to say, of all the people that I thought would sort of jump in, it wasn't Mumford and Sons.
No, but I one of the tweets I did mention, when he disappears and you think, where's he gone? Was somebody tweeted, Alexa, delete Mumford and Sons. And it's just like that kind of, that's so typical of Twitter, where someone is now being like, this guy has just made a comment, and we've all decided, no, we've always hated Mumford and Sons, just to burn their records, torch them like they're witches, and we just kind of completely turn against them.
But they were just sort of, that was sort of like, no one really needs an excuse to bash Mumford and Sons, because they've always been the butt of the joke, haven't they, really? I mean,
but if they just wanted it, what if that had been Kate Bush you see this morning? See?
Well, I mean,
nobody wants her to be the bad one. I think there was a little bit of a rumor back in a few years ago that she was a Tory, and that was like,
what?
Yeah, I know. Look at the way you just reacted. Don't turn against her.
No. I'm only saying that because she famously appeared in the comic strip musical about the GLC, singing this ode to Ken Livingstone.
Again, it could have just been a rumor.
Really fit, but I do vaguely remember this. But I mean, we've had interesting, like, so when Nick Cave has come out against some of kind of like woke sort of ideas, and suffered a bit of a backlash, although it was probably a lot more muted because a lot of people thinking, oh, but it's Nick Cave,
Yeah, exactly.
It really depends on who it is, doesn't it?
I do think that might be a good one for discussion for next week, where people just do fall from grace just from a tweet, just from one thing that they've said, and how we just completely turn our opinions. What about loyalty people? What about loyal fans? Because there are Mumford and Sons fans out there who don't seem to be defending them right now.
I mean, this is the thing about Twitter, though, is like you can have a hero, but only for about 5 minutes before they tweet something that you don't like or whatever it might be. That's just the way of the world now. Whereas years ago, you could sort of grow up with your sort of favorite film star and just think that they kind of worship the ground they walk on. But it's quite possible now that the scales will fall from your eyes pretty quickly. It's a what's they call it? It's a leveling up thing, I think. Yeah. Well, I'm amazed we got that in before.
Yeah, I was talking like we've got some teasers in there for next week. Incidentally, I don't know if you're aware, but it is Mothering Sunday next Sunday. And if you've got mums, if you want to treat them, why not come to Let's Kill Twitter? Spend an hour or so in our company with Lucy Porter and Sean McLaughlin, and it could be a little gift you can give them. Just buy a little front row ticket for us. Pay what you want. Treat your mum, treat yourself. Or the woman in the life that means something to you, and you can also buy us a coffee if you like. What coffee?
If anything at all has resonated with you this evening, and you want to keep us going and supporting us and getting us to book yet more incredible guests, then please go to Buy Me a Coffee. Look at this high-tech way that I'm doing.
buymeacoffee.com/Let's Kill Twitter.
Yeah, dead easy. Doddle. Yeah, so basically, next week we've got Sean McLaughlin and Lucy Porter, both fantastic comedians, and they will be with us in the Zoom room at 8:30 on Sunday, March the 14th, for an hour and 15 minutes of their tweets of the week and discussion. And if you donate and get into the Zoom room, you can ask them questions, you can make comments. You can what else can you do if you get into the Zoom room?
You can applaud, you can discuss, you can argue with us if you don't like something in our chat box.
Highly interactive. That's basically it, isn't it?
And you get a little bit of a backstage pass, really. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Showbiz. That's always what it's all about.
You get the Zoom equivalent of the smell of the grease paint, don't you?
Yes, you do. You do. Yeah, and we used to do my makeup lastminute.com. Yeah. But yes, it's been our first sorbet. And I'm going to go back to watching a film. What are you going to do now, Julian?
I am probably going to I'm going to sort of close down the various streams and do all the admin. There's a bit of tech to do behind the scenes. Nobody needs to know that, do they? I don't know. I'll probably make some clips of the fabulous show. And we've still got clips of Ian, Dale and Rialina as well circulating. Don't forget, if you go to YouTube, search Let's Kill Twitter, you can see the entirety of last week's full show and various clips as well. And please do follow us. I can't say it enough at LKT Zoom. Thanks very much, everyone.
Night, everyone. Enjoy the rest of Sunday.